Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to my library tour for 2022, where I'm giving myself a visual record of all the books in my collection at this time. But I'm also branching out every once in a while to books that are no longer in my collection, but once were, that I might like back again. Not always, but maybe some of them I would like back again. We're doing the Library of the Lost. All week long this week while I try and figure out what to do with the little book room. So we're starting with a YA style boys adventure novel by an author who, last I checked, I haven't checked in on this author in quite some time. I don't know if he's moved on to other things or he's dead or whatever, but at the time that he was writing these boys adventure style YA novels, he looked like one of his own protagonists. He's just a really good looking Australian guy. His name is Jack Heath. And this is Remote Control. I have reviewed one of Jack Heath's novels. I don't remember which one it was, but I will try to remember to leave a link down below. I had a great deal of fun reviewing it. And this is very much along the same lines. It features the same character of his that goes through a few different adventures. And it's all high octane. There's no reflection whatsoever. There are no buried subtexts, nothing of the kind. Tremendously page-turning, tremendously enjoyable. Not sure I'd want this one back. Then this next one is from the E. Tati Library from Harvard University Press. This is Republics and Kingdoms Compared, in a translation by James Hankins, and the author is Aurelio Lippi Brandolini, who was an Italian Renaissance humanist. This is his most famous work, and this is, I want to say, the first time it's ever been translated into English, certainly the first time in a century. And the first time ever in an English language edition with up-to-date scholarly notes. Makes for very, very good reading, as does much of the E. Tati library that we've seen on this channel. If you've been watching forever and ever, you know that I've gotten tons of E. Tati library volumes over the years. I think it's a fantastic endeavor that they do. They're all in this uniform sky blue cover. I love the endeavor of it. I love the fact that so many E. Tati volumes break ground. Okay, then this next one is an old Signet classic. Wow, I can't believe they ever made this. I had this once upon a time. I don't even know the translator here. This is Rider on the White Horse by Theodore Storm, and other stories. This, if I remember correctly, this old Signet volume was very, very good. This author, I don't know if this author is in print anymore. If the author is in English, I want to say it's the New York Review of Books that does it. Oh, I want to make sure to get the bean's face right in the middle there. Right, baby? I want your face right in the middle. Oh, hello, baby girl. They were more worried about losing you than losing me. This is a very, very world literature masterpiece kind of feel to it. A book that I never hear anyone talk about. I thought there were parts of it, maybe not so much in the title story, but other bits and pieces in here that I thought were tremendous. And if I remember correctly, this Signet volume was also good on its own. Very good introduction, very good in situating the author. Can't speak to the quality of the translation. I don't know enough about the author to do that. Okay, some authors I know more about than others. This next one is a novel by Brad Gooch, who you might know as a biographer of Flannery O'Connor, among others. But he started out his literary career writing fiction. And that wasn't his first career. This is Scary Kisses. And this is in large part about the world of gay modeling. Brad Gooch, when he was 18, was extremely good looking. Actually, when he was 28, he was also extremely good looking. And this is a very effective novel. I think that it's pretty easy to tell. It might just be hindsight on my part, but I think it's pretty easy to tell when you're reading this that maybe the author has had wellsprings of talent or even aspirations that lie elsewhere than fiction. I'm not sure what kind of a novel Brad Gooch would write today if he decided to sit down and write one. I bet it would be long, but I don't know what it would be like. Then this next one is by Steve Berman. I'm pretty sure this is not what the book looks like anymore. I got a very early edition of this work a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago. This is Second Thoughts, more queer and weird stories. You got to have something for the gays, you know, and these are surrealistic. These are not like Scary Kisses. Scary Kisses is straightforward gay fiction. Very good, I think. This is effective more than good. There's no good writing in here, but there are premises, characters, scenes that will stick with you forever, just forever. Not necessarily in a good way. These are weird stories, is right. These are creepy. Some of these are downright creepy. I wish that I had a copy of this, but I seem to remember vaguely that the cover that this has now, or at least the latest cover before it went out of print, isn't anywhere near this good. I like this cover. I would probably want this cover. I don't have that paperback. Somewhere I had that paperback. I don't anymore. And then this next one is by Jeffrey Knapp, and it is Shakespeare Only. A little volume of Shakespeare that tries to answer the question of why Shakespeare? Why is it that Shakespeare alone has this kind of almost supernaturally preeminent position in the world of literature? And the author goes at it, I think, from the wrong axes of investigation, and therefore, in my opinion, comes to the wrong conclusions. A rather famous Shakespeare commentator quipped a long time ago, long before this book came out, that the reason why, a big part of the reason why it's Shakespeare only who enjoys that status is because he wrote lots of plays. We have lots of his plays. We don't just have a handful. We have lots of them. You can make a festival out of them. You can make a big book out of them. You can make a semester out of them. You can make a semester out of them. I would amend that to say that, we have a lot of them and quite a few of them are really good. But you have to wonder. Well, another part of it also that I don't think this author wants really to give the credit that it's due is the self-replicating momentum of academia. If you're taught a book and you become a teacher, you're more likely to want to teach it yourself. And Shakespeare just benefited from that in a way that no other author has. So a Shakespeare book that I would definitely read again. I'm not sure that I would grab it if I saw it. Then this next one is by Heather Domin, Domin, and it was part of the harvest that I was still getting when I started this channel. When I started this channel, in addition to everything else, I was also the U.S. and worldwide editor for the indie branch of the Historical Novel Society Review. So I got self-published and subsidy-published, indie-published historical novels a lot. I got a lot of them every week. I got a lot of them in the mail. And most of them were not good. Every once in a while, one of them would be. This is one that I would put on the good side of the ledger. This is A Soldier of Ratia. Again, I don't think it looks like this. This was the cover of the paperback that I scanned back 15 years ago when I got it. And it's, once again, it could be billed as something for the gays. We're talking about the Roman army and the time of Augustus Caesar. And a boy, a 20-year-old, is seconded to that army and has to learn the ways of the legion. He has to learn campmates and messmates and authority structures and all of that, duty and responsibility and even brothership. And he learns all this under the stern gaze of the general of the legion, who isn't originally inclined to give him any slack, but eventually starts to feel things for him. They start to feel things for each other that are well done, very well textured and nuanced. I remember really enjoying this. Of course, I'm never going to see this. It's the thing I should have realized about all of those books that I was getting from Historical Novel Review Indie. I should have realized to keep them all, because I'm never going to see them used. They're never going to be in bookstores, and I'm never going to see them used. The only way I would ever read this again is if the author has made it an ebook. But the actual paperback I had with this cover, I will never see again. And that the same thing is true for, I must have seen in my time in that job, I must have seen probably 500 books. And of those 500, I would say probably 40 I would want now. And I don't have any of them. So, I probably cycled them through or disposed of them with roughly the same kind of mind frame that I do when I do that for any other book, which is you'll see it again. But I should have stopped and realized that by the very nature of these things, I won't see them again. I would wish I could see this again. I would grab it. Then we have science fiction. I got this as a mass market paperback. I believe this was a debut. It's by Chris Moriarty, and it's called Spin State. This is from 20 years ago. Very wild, hard science fiction speculative novel that, if I remember correctly, did a lot of imagining along the lines of memory uploading and cloning and whatnot, but still managed to overlay that against a backdrop of a fairly satisfyingly well-done space opera. And what I wouldn't give to find the mass market of this now and read it again, because I have a feeling that I would find a lot of the 21st century presaged in this book. I think the author, in other words, did a lot of good extrapolation. Which, keep in mind, when it comes to science fiction, we don't need the author to do that for it to be good. The author doesn't have to guess right for it to be good. It's just an added bonus when they do. And if I remember correctly, this author does. No idea if this went on to be a whole series. No idea. I've never seen it, except for this volume that I scanned. And then, okay, well, we've been dealing heavily with the gays this time around. That's okay. We'll finish up with that. This is sad. I don't have a copy of this book, and I wish I did. Beautiful black and white cover. This is Such Times by Christopher Coe. And this is an AIDS novel. In my opinion, the greatest AIDS novel ever written. It shifts forward and backward in time. It has a great cast of characters, all of whom are well realized, only one of whom is the kind of shrill, hysterical caricature that used to fill gay fiction at the time. This came out 30 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that. And once upon a time, that was what you were going to get. You were going to get, what's his name? Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y. You're going to get his arch kind of lavender and lapel wearing characters who don't have any interior life, because even the author can't imagine that you would ever have a three-dimensionally interior life. It's all going to be about arch quips and men's rooms and whatnot. It's just, I've read all of it, and it's almost all of it is disappointing for me. And this was totally different, truly heartfelt. There are a couple of scenes in here that are genuinely funny, but most of them are horrifying, because against the backdrop of the lives of the characters in here is a plague, a new plague that no one had ever seen before, that seemed to be killing all the gay men in the world. If that is a phenomenon from the history books for you, then you won't have any real sense of what it was like to feel that, and to suddenly have the mask torn off your society, as pandemics will do, right? The COVID-19 pandemic did the same thing. It tore the mask off society, and suddenly we were all aware of who in our own communities were so selfish and self-centered that they wouldn't wear a mask over their face, even if it meant protecting you or your grandparents or their own children. We suddenly knew that. It was visibly obvious who was that way and who wasn't that way. And the same thing happened. This book captures a lot. I imagine that a better AIDS epidemic novel could be written. Maybe it has been, and I've missed it. But this certainly is a heavyweight contender. Aided, I guess, in a horrifying way by the fact that the author died of AIDS during the pandemic. So I guess in a weird way, that would be a yardstick of a great gay novel. Did the author know what he was talking about? I had a lovely floppy Penguin paperback of this, and I don't anymore. I wish I could find it. Penguin was a big publisher. They gave this thing a fairly healthy print run. It got lots of critical praise, considering what its subject matter was. People took it seriously. And so there's a chance that I will find a paperback of this. And that would be great if I did. I can strongly recommend it to you. If the subject matter interests you, I can strongly recommend it. And that is it. That is a little bit of a melancholy note to end the Library of the Lost Worth for today. But we'll have plenty more things to talk about tomorrow. We'll have another batch of books that I don't have and sometimes wish I did. So we'll resume then. Thank you, BookTube.